like you said, my name's Hal Reed. I work up at ICI. ICI is the only true independent ag retail in southern Alberta. We started back in 2017 where 5 of us got together and said, southern Alberta needs a little competition. I love competition. It doesn't scare me a bit, but we need to be able to provide the services, the functions that are important to each grower. And as we've been doing this for many, many years, every grower is an individual. What they want on their farm will be something very different on their neighbor. And so it's a matter of becoming a relationship with our growers. Now, like I say, we started in June of 17, and we built a 7,300-ton bulk fertilizer facility. We have a complete liquid blending facility. We've got 5,000 square feet of chemical storage, and we carry along a line of complete products. Along with, we have total custom app and agronomy services. I worked for, many of you don't remember, but it was the Alberta Wheat Pool back then. And to get anything done was painful. We wanted to try something new. Well, by the time we got through the levels of government, something else new would come along and we'd carried on. The beauty about being truly independent, the 4 of us are owners and we all work there. We can make these decisions up in the boardroom. It has been fun. It has been challenging, and I have discovered that not all my ideas are good. But because if I come up with a wonderful idea and the grower body thinks I'm crazier than a nut, it's not going to happen. So that's where we get the opportunity to meet with the growers that we work with and say, what do you think about this? So bug juice. Bug juice has been probably one of the common things today, is that we have all been there. After this many years, we've seen them come, we've seen them go, and have they really accomplished anything? Nobody knows. Personally speaking, I think, they come down the road and it's guaranteed not to rip, rust, bust, or tear to seams. It's a wonderful thing. You got to be using this stuff. You got to be trying. This stuff is going to happen. But then it kind of just fades away because we're never sure if anything happened or not. But it's like I say, it's been going on for a long time. In the summer of 2018, Cyrus, one of the gentlemen I work with, he works out on the reserve. He came to me one day and he said, you know what, there's this outfit in Raymond. So? But anyway, he said, we should go look at it. And I said, what is it? And he talked about this biological. And, I kind of rolled my eyes and said, yeah, okay, we've got another one. Well, that's fine. So anyway, we went over talking. I met Josh and Ashley and Phyllis. And that was the beginning of a wonderful relationship. It started out with these. We moved a lot of totes of ACF. My growers love them to death, but they're skeptics. Okay, let's try 30 acres. Let's try 40 acres. So we moved, a few hundred gallons. Well, not a few thousand gallons in totes. And we moved it out. We spread it out. We had a field where the guy was growing organic corn for Bonduelle. Well, there is no nitrogen source that on the organic label. There's one out of Brazil or something, but it's sodium. It's really what it is. But anyway, there was, again, literally, I'm not going to bore you with pictures because anybody can take a picture. And but what we found was yellow versus green. Like, it was not even a slight difference. It was a dramatic difference. So as we moved ahead, we needed a truck. Our sales grew. We moved about 30,000 gallons last year. And a lot of that was bits and pieces, right? So we had a couple of guys that kind of, I don't want to say bought in, but they saw the point, and so we moved ahead with it. So then as we moved down the road farther, we said, okay, one of the biggest problem with farmers have is that I'm not going to make another trip over my field. I'm just not. So how can we do this? What can we do with it? And what we found was that a low salt fertilizer mixes very well with it. That we have an agreement with a company called AgroLiquid. They're our liquid suppliers. And the interesting part about their process is on their phosphate, for example, they have it encapsulated. And they encapsulate it with a flavanol polymer. which is a food grade polymer, which is actually carbon. And lo and behold, we've discovered that the bacteria and everything in the soil loves carbon. So they complemented each other very well. And again, we have seen responses. I am not a scientist. I do not do plot work. I'm great at starting them, not that great at finishing them. So we've got a designated summer student this year that's going to work with Scotty and do all our plot work so that we can put some substance to it. You know, part of the problem we have as in the agriculture world and in the farming community is that we are used to spraying for wild oats, right? So all of a sudden, this wild oat was alive, now it's dead. It works. It's not quite that way with nutrition. There's a little bit of, okay, how do we prove something that we can't see? Because you're not going to see it every time. So the question was, and we've gone through this a couple times, is ACF a replacement for fertilizer? No. Common sense, and I'm a nutrition guy. I love nutrition. But can we do it differently? Can we be more responsible with the way we do it? Because personally, I think in a lot of cases, under irrigation, we're using way too much fertilizer. Way too much fertilizer. Based on our high pHs, calcareous soils, in order to see a response, particularly with phosphate, our recommendations keep climbing and climbing. We started, 4 or 5 years ago, we were putting down on our potatoes, we were putting like 5 gallons of 1034, and we saw a response. To go from nothing to something, no matter what the something is, you're going to see a response. So that worked for a little while, and then we're up to 10 gallons. Then we're at 50. Now we're at 20 gallons of 1034, trying to get some kind of a response out of that same acre of ground, and it's not happening. So what are we doing? We're combining the two together. We're taking the ACF and saying, okay, can we take what we have and make it better? Like that slide that Scotty showed you about the pasture. There was no fertilizer ever put on that pasture, ever. And we could see where we treated it over the 3 years. The numbers, the first time he sent me the soil samples, I just didn't believe it. So I went out and I retested it, and they came back again the same way. So it's not a matter of mining the soil. We've heard that for years. There is so much phosphate in that soil, your grandchildren are not going to use it up. So all we're trying to do is be more efficient. I think something that I find important here today is ACF has been talked about at every level, and it's an incredible product, but it's a tool in the toolbox. It's not, okay, we're going to do nothing else but ACF. No, I'm sorry, but that would just be silly. So all I'm saying is when you look at the ACF, look at your farm, look at your field and say, what's going on? And these are the key factors. Actually, we had Travis and Josh over one day, and this is the thing that they came down to on why we would use the ACF, what it's going to do for us. And soil health. I mean, this soil, if you want to go this social media thing that I'm really terrible at, but we have gone back and they've showed us fields in Idaho that have been farmed so badly that it won't grow anything anymore. It is, the field is white from alkali. The field is dead because we have done it like he talked about going down to the Maritimes. Well, when your rotation is potatoes, no potatoes, something bad is going to happen. And that's all we're saying is when you look at the ACF program and what it does for your farm is it just makes it better. I mean, I'm not a scientist. I'm sure there's a word that long that would quantify this, but that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying from a practical standpoint, we're seeing responses with ACF that are giving us better soils. Now, we've seen responses in 1 year. We have, no question. But over the course of 3 years, we are changing the structure. Like how many people under irrigation in southern Alberta do we get organic matter at 7%? Unbelievable. These are some of the things you're wondering, okay, how is this possible? And it goes through soil health. drought tolerance. We had a field of dryland lentils down by Rentham Warner where they had like 2 inches of rain all year, and we had the ACF in the totes, and this cloud came close, and I said, okay, we're spraying it now because it needed that moisture into the soil, and there was literally a line in the field, and again, I'm not going to bore you with a whole bunch of pictures, but we had a line in the field where literally mid-August we had dead and we had live. Again, those are the kind of things that, excuse me, that jump out at you. Again, we've seen pictures of the roots. We've seen the biomass, the disease pressure, crop quality. Alkali soils, I think this is one of my farmers out east of Tabor. I have literally spent probably the last 20-some years mainly in potato crops. That's where I've spent. And what we have seen with the ACF is we had probably 30 acres of this circle of potatoes that was quite alkali. It wasn't severe. We could grow a crop, but it was pretty pathetic. The problem with potatoes on alkali soil, the potato's kind of dumb. When it's growing, you can't tell the difference. It'll grow in alkali. It'll grow fine, but it will not store. That the sodium, potassium, calcium thing gets all screwed up, and you put it in storage, and that potato will say, oh crap, this is not calcium. This is sodium, and out the door it runs. Guaranteed that will happen. So what we did on this field, we had 30 acres and it was marginal. But we went in there with the ACF and literally we evened out the whole field. There was not a good or bad area. It was pretty even across the whole field. Now the problem we had with that field, ACF does nothing for hail. We had a violent hailstorm, which pretty much cleaned it out. Most of my potato trials last year either got hailed out or they're still sitting there in the field. So, again, this is just kind of ongoing research, and I'm not a research guy. I want to do 30 acres. I'm going to get Scotty to help us as far as setting up the protocol on how we're going to do this so we can actually see it through the whole thing. But that's... this is a field of Timothy east of Tabor, and what we did is as soon as spring broke, we put on 2 gallons of ACF. Then, after we took off the first cut and got the bales removed, we put on 2 more gallons. And the key part of this question is we had third party come, and I said, you walk this field and you tell me what you see, because I can try to be as unbiased as I can, but it doesn't always work. So this is from a third party, and again, it was just so obvious that we were seeing some differences. And again, like they've talked about in the past, I'm not a scientist, but it just makes sense to me when we talk about soil health. It's got to start with the soil. I am a foliar guy. I think it's great, but if you have a deficiency, you will never catch up by applying foliar. You can maintain it, but you will never get the levels where we think they should be. We work with a lab out of London, Ontario, A&L Labs. Many of you have heard of them. They have made a division of soil health where I'll send them a sample and they will measure the biology in the soil, the carbon dioxide, the carbon levels. They'll do all this stuff for you. Very, very interesting, because we'll see where some of these soils are that we dump the fertilizer on and we're not growing a crop. And so we make up all these reasons why. We've got a lot of foxtail, so we're short in potassium, so we put on more potassium. These kind of things, and it's not working. But what we found through this soil health thing is that our biology is terrible, and it's not across the field. It's if you do the low spots or you do the alkali area, you will find the biology is just not there. Because what happens is you look at your soil sample, you have hundreds of pounds of everything in these patches, but the crop can't get at it. So by putting this biology on, what we did is that we got the metabolism of that soil going into the crop. What it does is that they explain through this thing how your soil health, you need that microbe. You can have all this nitrogen, but without the biology, none of it's going in the plant. And this kind of stuff is what we're seeing. And over the next couple of years, as we continue down this road, we're going to explore it more when it comes to soil health, because in general, I would not say that our soil is not particularly unhealthy, but can it be better? Can it be better in our high calcium rate, high phos numbers? I mean, the stuff that the plant just can't get at through the ACF program, we seem to be making it more available. It seems to be working good for us in there. So again, we've been doing this now for 2 years. It's just going to grow. I mean, we get so many variables. It's really hard in agriculture to say, this 1 year of data. Well, it doesn't really mean too much. We need 3 or 4 years just because of the changing environment we're constantly in. So the other thing, and this is I think this is the last one I got. I don't have a whole lot more to say. We opened up a location in Scandia, up north, in the middle of nowhere. But we put up a brew station there, and we're going to be supplying a lot of our ACF from, between Scandia and Tabor is going to come out of Scandia. So, we believe in the product well enough that we invested this brew station. We have invested with the advanced ag people, and they're just a great bunch to work with, pardon me. I think part of the thing that we've discovered is if you're excited about it, it makes life kind of fun. Again, the thing is, as like Scotty particularly, their products are registered. We've got the data to back up when we're not just it's not just foo-foo dust. It's something that we think is real and has some great potential as we continue, like I say, to look down the road. So where does it fit and how does it fit? And I think it's going to be exciting. I think it's great because honestly, all the growers in this room, you're doing well or you wouldn't be in the room. So my question is, can we improve upon it? Can we do it better? And again, I know my potatoes quite well. And if you're just growing potatoes, yeah, you'll be okay. It's the bonus structure they put into place that is going to give you the profitability of your potato crop. Do we have the gravities we want? Do we have the colors we want? Do we have the defects as low as we possibly can? And it is amazing how you can affect that stuff with good soil health. Disease, again, they've talked about disease, and we don't know. I mean, this is a frontier that is just going to just get bigger and bigger as we try to understand some of this stuff. As far as, okay, where do we go from here? What do we do with it? And can we manage? I'm not saying we're going to save you a whole bunch of money, but we're going to make you more money by managing that field differently than maybe what we have in the past. Are we going to use less fertilizer? I don't know. It depends on the field. So that's what we do at ICI. There's a number of us around that afterwards, if you want to have a visit or ask any more questions, we'd love to talk to you.